If you're in the process of researching EXP Realty, then stick around and watch this video. I think it's going to be really helpful. I just hit my 2-year anniversary at EXP, and I've learned a whole lot about this company over that time. And so today's video, I want to talk about 3 pros and 3 cons that really were driven home for me in my 2nd year at EXP. Stick around and we'll get right to it. If this is the first video of mine that you've seen, my name is David Tortellini. I've been a real estate agent since 2010 in the southeastern Virginia area, and I've been at EXP since 2020. So I'm filming this in late 2022, and it is just after my 2-year anniversary. So my business has actually changed a ton this year. There've been a lot of mental shifts and reality shifts in my business. So a couple of big things have happened this year. So first and foremost, biggest thing that's happened for me is my wife was able to quit her job as a teacher. My wife has been a special ed elementary school teacher for the last 15 years in the area, and she was not happy. She was just, as you've seen from a lot of teachers over the last couple of years, she was just miserable at work. And we had always thought about this idea that maybe she could one day come work with me in some capacity. So we finally made that happen. In April of this year, my wife left her job and came and now works with me in an administrative role. So that was huge. It's been great for our family. We have a daughter who is 4 years old. She's able to spend a lot more time with her, has more energy for her, and is able to help in our business. I did have an assistant prior to her coming, so she's taken over that role, and it's really been great. We didn't know how it would go with us working together, but we are doing great. She's been picking it up extremely well, and for our business, it's been wonderful. And it does have a lot to do with EXP. I don't think, and I know we couldn't have done this. We were at Keller Williams for 5 years before that. We couldn't have done it at Keller Williams. So we'll get into how we were able to make that happen, because it is going to be our first pro. So big shift there. My wife is now working with me, and that's giving us a ton of opportunity as a family to grow together and grow closer and all be involved in the business. And it's kind of rare that any couples can say that, so I think it's great that we're able to do that. And big part of it has to do with EXP. We'll talk about that in a minute. So next big shift in our business, I've been working on growing a team for a long time, but it's been agents come on, agents come off, agents come on, agents come off, mostly just due to like personal reasons and things like that. And it's just sometimes just hard to build a team. So I've made a major shift away from building a standard team to building what we call a self-organized team. So currently my team is me, my wife in an administrative role, and then I have one agent who is full-time really on the team. And then I have 4 other agents that are part of my self-organized team. And in that sense, really all I'm doing is feeding them leads through our website. And they're getting web leads or some overflow leads that I have, and they're able to work those, and we have a negotiated split, but they're not really on my team. So they're eligible for icon status. They're eligible for, they're still on a full cap with EXP, but then they're also able to just do their own business and not pay me anything. So really, it's just on the leads that I send them. And so far, this is great, because I think I'm at a point in my life and in my career where I don't necessarily want to spend all of my waking time just caring about the agents on my team and being worried about them and being nervous about providing for their business and being their, full-time mentor, full-time teacher, full-time everything. And this has been a better shift. It's easier for me. These agents I trust. They do a great job. I know that we can have our ISA hand off a warm lead to them, and then they will convert it. They're web leads, so they're a little longer, but they do a great job, and they don't need me to babysit them 24 hours a day. So shifting to that, having one member on my team who I truly care about, who I truly want to give my time and energy to, is fantastic. And then having this other group of agents that I can trust to convert the leads and to get them closed is wonderful. And that's been the shift towards my business, and that's where I think it's going to go in the future. I think building out kind of this web lead team, self-organized team, has a lot more potential for me and what I'm lking for in my career than out of then building a big standard team, like I had been trying to do for quite some time. So this is good. That's the second big shift. And then third thing that happened this year is, so it's my second year at EXP, and I reached icon status again. So I did complete everything I needed to do or get the full $16,000 in stock at EXP. So just a quick reminder, when you reach icon status, you get $8,000 in stock right away. Then if you complete a cultural contribution, which I did through being a mentor at EXP, you get another $4,000. And if you travel to the 2 annual events, which are amazing, you get another $2,000 for going to each one of those. And so I went to the events, mentor, got the $8,000, so I received the full $16,000 in Icon stock, and then I hit Icon again a couple of months ago, and will be receiving the first $8,000 in stock. I'm filming this at the end of December, so I should be getting that in a couple of days, and then I'll be working on the cultural contributions, and then my wife and I are going to go to Orlando for the Shareholder Summit, and then we'll go to Vegas in the fall for EXP Con, and we'll get the other $2,000 in stock for both of those, all while taking a business vacation together as a couple, which if you have kids, you know it can be really hard to do, to take a couple's vacation. So we get to take advantage of it as a business trip and as a way to spend some time together and just be, all in on the EXP culture. And in the meantime, we're going to get the stock for it. So as of right now, Icon for the second year in a row, 2 out of 2. I'm loving it. The stock was a big part of why I made the move to EXP. So to be in that, in that group again, to know that I'm be eligible to get the second $16,000, that is going to end up being $32,000 worth of company stock that I was absolutely not going to get at my previous 2 brokerages. So that's this kind of year in a nutshell in terms of kind of what we've done with the business, where we're heading, where we're going. And I don't want to go on for too long on those things because I don't want this to end up being like an hour-long video. So that's kind of where I'm at. Let's get into our pros and cons about EXP year 2. All right, I know the most popular EXP videos out there are all these videos that are like, don't join EXP, and they're all anti-EXP videos that everybody goes and watches, and then of course they spin it around and they turn it into a pro-EXP video, but we're not going to do that in this video. I'm just going to be straightforward with you. So what I really want to do is just start with a pro. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that my wife was able to leave her job as a teacher to join us in an administrative role. And a big part of being able to do that is EXP healthcare. So we've been getting our insurance through my wife, through the school division, for the last 15 years. So it's been something that's certainly tied her to that job. And, so I have a degree in healthcare administration, and I worked in the healthcare sector prior to being a real estate agent in the reimbursement division in particular. And I can tell you that healthcare in America and reimbursement is a total disaster. And it's unfortunate that being tied to an employer group plan is something that holds people in jobs that they don't want to be in. Like, that's terrible. And because EXP has a healthcare solution, as we learned more about it, we were able to shift onto that and get her out of a job that she was miserable in. So that's the first pro. The healthcare solution at EXP is great. So it costs us a little bit more than it did through the school division. So probably a couple $100 a month more for our family of 3. We also do the dental plan. So that's been great because $0 deductible for preventative visits. So now I actually go to the dentist on a regular basis. I have to be honest, I've been pretty bad about that for a long time. So the healthcare opportunity there, it was much less expensive than on the exchange. So I think that's the big thing there. A little bit more than we were paying through the school division, but a lot less than going and getting a healthcare plan on the exchange. And that really, we looked at the budget. We said, well, can we just add a couple $100 a month? Is that worth it to bring you away from this job that you're miserable? Absolutely. Absolutely. It was an easy decision. Now, it's not standard normal health insurance. It's not like having Anthem or Cigna or something. So there are some hoops to jump through. When you go to the pharmacy for the first time, they're going to look at you like you have 6 heads, but you just need to work through that. The customer service is fantastic, and it's been this opportunity for us to also make up some costs in some other areas. Like my wife has asthma, she has 2 inhalers. Those were costing us $100 a month. On this plan, we don't pay anything for them, so they're $0. So we're saving $100 there. So we're already making up a portion of what we were paying more than our other plan. So the healthcare opportunity, this isn't for everybody, because a lot of people in real estate have a spouse who has an employer-sponsored health plan, and that's great, but are they miserable in that job? Do they also want to get into real estate? You know, if you and your spouse do real estate together, is this an opportunity for you to go full time? I know so many people that want to go into real estate full time, but they're, you know, here in our area, we have a ton of government employees, military and whatnot. So, you know, they're stuck in those jobs because they're like, oh, I get these great health benefits. Well, this is an opportunity to take a look at this. It's made huge improvements in the year that we've been on it, and it's been an opportunity for our family to really come together and be so much happier than we were just, 8 or 9 months ago. So, healthcare solution at EXP. I'll make sure there's a link in the description where you can go and learn more about it. But it is something that if you're stuck in a job that you don't want to be in, or a family member is, your spouse is, this could be your opportunity to get away from that and change your life for the better. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about our first con, and that's revenue share expectations versus reality. If this is the first ever EXP video that you've watched, or you haven't seen my revenue share video, pause this, go watch that video so you understand how revenue share works, and then come back to this, because I'm not going to explain it in full. But the basic breakdown is that revenue share is a residual income opportunity offered at EXP through agent recruitment. So for some people, this is all they do. For a very small portion of people, it's all they do. They recruit agents, and you can make massive, massive salaries. So there are people making 6 figures plus. Some people are making 7 figures or more. So there are opportunities through agent attraction to make a ton of money. And for a lot of other agents, it's just great side money. For agents who have recruited a few people, who then those people have maybe recruited a few people, you could be looking at $10,000, $20,000 a year. So not the kind of money where you can just sail off to the Bahamas forever, but good money that is helpful and helps with those downtimes. There's nothing better than getting a check for $1,200 on a month where maybe you had a deal fall through, and all of a sudden someone's like, hey, here's a check for $1,000, $2,000 for the production that your downline did. So revenue share is incredible, but people show up at EXP and they just think that they're going to build this downline magically, and they don't realize how much work it takes and then how the money ends up really working out. So give you a couple examples from here locally that we've seen, part of our larger organization. These aren't people that were under me, but they were, horizontal to me, I guess. We shared a similar upline. So we had, for example, best example, we had the largest team in our area came over, and they came to EXP, and it turns out they didn't recruit anybody. And they thought that because they were the biggest team that people were just going to call them left and right. Well, it turns out they're not really talkative. They don't have great relationships with a ton of people, at least not based on my experience with them. And when they came over, they thought, people would just call them and they'd want to come join them at EXP because they made the move, but that didn't happen. Like a couple of people did, but not a lot. I think they were under the impression that all of a sudden, like a flood of people were going to just want to join with them. And that's just not realistic. If you are, I think in every market, there's maybe 1 or 2 people, big markets, maybe, 4 or 5, whatever, people who have that kind of combination of production and charisma and reputation where if they make a move, yeah, they're going to get a bunch of calls. But that's very, very, very few people, so like where I am in our immediate area, there are about 1,000 agents, and there are probably 3 or 4 people that I can think of where if they made a move like that, they would get a ton of calls. And one of them did. And that's how our entire organization really even exists, because one of those type of people made the move, and then a ton of people went with them, because when that person moves, they sold their Keller Williams ownership. They had been a top producing agent in the area for 20 years. Everybody loved them. They moved, people called. And so, but that person also makes calls every single day. And I think that's the part people miss, is that building revenue share is really hard. It takes a lot of work. Like, you don't just get a real estate license and then all of a sudden start selling 50 houses a year. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and you have to put in the time every single day if you really want to build revenue share to this massive, massive amount. And of course we have things like the model explained where Brent Gove goes over the numbers, and if you recruit 5 and you help each of them recruit 5, you can make like $94,000 a year. Technically, that's true. If you recruit only individual agents who are all capping, that happens. The math works out like that. But in reality, married couples can share a cap. Team members are on half caps. Mega team members are on quarter caps. So the reality, and then a lot of agents don't cap. And that's just the reality of the situation, is that, instead of saying to people, hey, if you recruit 5 and then 25 in your second level, you're going to make $94,000. Maybe a more realistic number might be half of that. Maybe more like $47,000. And even that, might even be high depending on where you are and who you recruit. It all matters who you recruit. So if you're going out and getting high producing agents and just focusing on those people in teams and broker owners, yes, you can absolutely kill it. But if you're recruiting new agents, and let's face it, most new agents don't produce, then you're just not going to earn very much on it, and you're going to build a downline of people who then aren't recruiting, because new agents also don't really recruit. So it just depends on who you bring in. So you're going to find people that have, recruited 15 people to their top line, and now they have organizations of over 1,000 people, and you're going to find other people who have 15 people in their top line, and their organization has like 20. Because those 15 people aren't producers, they're not influential, they're not bringing people in themselves. So it really depends on who you recruit. It depends on the amount of time and energy and effort that you put in, and you're not just going to show up and just have a big downline automatically. It's going to take a lot of work. You've got to stick with it. We're fortunate that our organization does do coaching on it weekly, and then the agents who have really put in the time and effort see the results. And the agents who don't and just want to ride, just assume that their reputation is going to build them some massive downline, chances are it's just not going to. I mean, maybe if you are watching this, if you are like one of the top 2 or 3 agents in your market, and you're also someone that people respect, because let's face it, there are a lot of top agents in markets where people don't actually like that person. So it's got to be that combination of the two, and then you can be successful with revenue share. But like I said, we even had another person join us. Their brokerage had been dwindling down to nothing. They had a 12-person brokerage, and it went down to like him and one other person, rolled into EXP, thought that would bring people back, and it didn't, because sometimes that's just not how it works. Like, just joining EXP doesn't mean you're going to build a massive downline. So that's kind of a big one. Revenue share can be huge. It can be life-changing. It can be this amazing thing, and it is when you put in the effort, you do the work, and you be the kind of person that people want to follow. But if you are not any of those things, then, I'm sorry, if you're not a hard worker, it's not going to work out for you. Okay, pro number 2, the Icon program. I mentioned this earlier. This is where if you hit a certain production level, you can receive your full $16,000 cap back in company stock. I recently hit that for the second time, so I'm excited for 2023. Well, I'll be accumulating that stock. And right now, I have about 2,300 shares, give or take, of EXP stock. And once I get the next 8,000 at its current trading price, it should be another 750 to 800 shares or so of stock. So I'll be up around 3,000 shares of company stock. I had 0 shares of stock when I was at Keller Williams, and I had 0 shares of stock when I was at my first brokerage, a local company called Rose & Womble. So obviously not publicly traded. The thing about the stock right now is that in 2022, stock prices plummeted across the board in real estate. Compass, Open Doors, Zillow, everything went way, way down, including EXP. The crazy thing about EXP, though, is that we're profitable. Most of these other companies aren't profitable. If Zillow didn't have so much cash on hand, they would be horribly bankrupt, but they've got like $500 million just sitting in a bank account somewhere waiting for them to spend it. So they're going to be okay. But the thing about EXP is it's a profitable company. It is expanding like crazy. And the Icon program gives you the opportunity, if you are a higher producing agent, to be gifted your entire cap back in stock. I mean, it's a no-brainer. So even if you don't buy into the stock, so I am part of a program where I pay 5% of my commission every month and I buy stock at a 10% discount. I've chosen to do that. You don't have to. If you're a higher producing agent, you can just get the gifts. You know, when you recruit an agent and they do a deal, you get $400 in company stock. When you cap, you get $400 in company stock. When you do your first deal of every year, you get $250 of company stock. You can just get those, get the $16,000 in Icon stock, and build something for the future. Now, when I started in 2020, the stock was on this crazy trajectory where by, I think it was maybe February or March of 2021, it had reached over $100 a share, and then it split. So my first year, I was buying stock at mostly like $45 to $55 a share. It was crazy. It was probably overvalued at the time, but it was just EXP had just, these recruiting numbers were coming in, it was growing like crazy, and real estate was booming, so real estate stocks were booming. And so for the first year or so, I wasn't accumulating stock at a price that I was super excited about. I mean, I was happy that the stock was really high, but I wasn't accumulating a lot of shares. Now the stock is in that like $10 to $12 a share range, which I think is way low. It doesn't make any sense, but people are very kind of bearish on real estate stocks right now until interest rates come back down. If we do end up in a recession in 2023, people are just gonna I don't expect the stock to really shoot up anytime soon, but I do expect it to go way up at some point. And seeing what EXP is doing, how they're building, how they're growing, EXP's like sister companies like Success Enterprises, unbelievable, constantly expanding, constantly growing. I am just so, I know the market may be bearish on real estate stocks, but I am super bullish on EXP stock. And I think this is going to be an opportunity where at a certain point, I could be in a position with, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 worth of stock and watch it 10x. And it's going to be incredible. The first time I went to EXP Con, went to the Icon breakfast, and I sat at a table with millionaires from just the EXP stock because they were in early. Well, I'm telling you now, with where the current prices are and where I think they're going to go. Now, of course, I'm not a professional stock trader. I'm not licensed to tell you anything about the EXP stock, so take it with a grain of salt. This is just someone who's at the company and loves it, and I just feel like it is a huge possibility. So just to reach Icon status, you have to cap, which is $80,000 in gross commission, and then you have to do 20 transactions as an independent agent on top of that. So for me, I think I hit it this year on transaction 30. So I think it was cap in 10, and then I did in 20 more transactions on top of that. So if you're in a slightly higher market where you can cap in 8, you might do it in 28. And then, of course, referrals can count towards it, and splits if you're giving out leads to team members and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity to get there. It's usually the top 3%, 4% of agents, something like that, reach Icon status. So if you're in that group and you're paying into a company now and they're not giving you anything back when you hit a certain amount, this is the opportunity. I know a big company on the East Coast has an annual trip. It's like, okay, great. They took you on that annual trip. Use that EXP stock and go on that trip 8 times. So, I'd rather do that. So that's it. The Icon program, I think, is incredible. I'm so happy to be part of it. And I just think that it is one of the big driving factors of this company, of its growth, and in its future. So there you go, Icon program. Con number 2, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is that EXP doesn't have office space. Now, this is becoming more and more true of a lot of companies as more and more cloud-based brokerages kind of come online across the country. But EXP was one of the first to really eliminate offices and say, okay, if you guys want to open an office, you have to do it on your own. And that's what we did here. An agent in my upline opened a large office. We all rent space from him. So we're fortunate. We have an office to go to. I don't have a home office, so this works great for me. Now, a lot of other agents are in a similar boat where they really can't or don't want to work at home. EXP has a relationship with Regis, and that is awesome. So you can get space at Regis, work in the business center. And I know there are agents in some places that are taking advantage of that like crazy. Here locally, I know we're not. We have a Regis right down the street, and nobody really uses it. So I think that that's an opportunity for agents to really get together and go to the office. But, in rural American towns, there's not going to be a Regis. So I think that this next stage of agents that will come to EXP are also going to want an office to go to, because there are so many people that go to the office not just because they need a place to work, but it's also their social interaction. I mean, let's face it, there are a ton of agents who go to the office every day strictly so they have a drinking buddy at lunch. Like, that is the truth. Like, there are so many agents who are not dedicated to doing real estate, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and they want to come in, do a few things, then go get lunch and a drink and socialize. And it's kind of their social scene as well as their work scene. So that's just the truth of it. And not having offices around the country is going to be a little detrimental, I think, in terms of being able to recruit agents in and really grow to that next level. And for a lot of you out there who are thinking about EXP, if you need to go to an office every day, you might be out of luck. And the thing is, you could try and open an office, but it is expensive, and you better be ready to recruit agents who will help pay and subsidize that, bring on a lender who will help pay for some of it as well. There's a lot that goes into opening an office, and it's just not very easy. So if you're a big heavy hitter, you can absolutely do it. Help put you in the position where you can open a branch office and recruit into it and get people to subsidize the cost. So that's great, but that's just not things that all agents can do. So even if you are at EXP and you're trying to recruit an agent and they're a couple towns away, maybe they don't want to have to drive all the way to your office if you have one, but there's no office for them there, but they're looking to change firms. Well, there's a really good chance if they're in the office every day, need that office culture type of person, that they're not going to join under you. So that can be a problem. Now, when it comes to people working from home, can't think of a better company in the world to work from home. Just the online access, the virtual world, never having to go in to turn in a check, anything like that. It's incredible. But not having offices across the country, especially ones that you can recruit other people into, is kind of a difficult thing for me with EXP. I never thought I'd say that. I do love the idea that we don't have brick and mortar offices. I don't think companies really need them. Even the traditional brokerages around here, they have huge offices. Like, there's one nearby, has a massive office in the nicest part of town. It's absolutely gorgeous, but the office itself is run down, and 3 people go to it every day out of the, I think, 50 or 60 agents that are at the office. So it's a huge waste of money, but at the end of the day, that's what a lot of agents want, and if you're one of those people, you may really not like being at a cloud-based brokerage. Our third and final pro is the company level culture. So at a company level, the culture at EXP is incredible. I've never seen anything like it before. I was at Keller Williams before this, and it was amazing there, but at EXP, it's just something different. I think the biggest thing that EXP does is it attracts agents who don't just consider themselves real estate agents. So it's totally fine if all you do is think about yourself as a real estate agent, where you help people buy and sell houses, and that is amazing. But the next level above that are the agents who consider themselves business people, where they believe in multiple income streams, building passive income, building something they can hand down for generations. Those are the kind of people that EXP has attracted at a really high rate, and they continue to do so, especially as EXP's opened EXP Luxury Division, and now they're starting to bring over, $200 million, heavy hitters, billion-dollar agents who are coming over to the company, and they just see EXP as another piece of building their empire. And that is that's a feeling that just kind of soaks through the company. And when you go to, say, the big events like EXP Con or Shareholders, you can really feel it and you see it, and being around it just is more energizing than anything I've ever felt before. And that might be specific to me, but I have a feeling for watching this video that it might be for you too, because I love being a real estate agent. It's great, but I do want more out of real estate than just helping people buy and sell houses. I want something that I can leave to my daughter. I want something that I'll leave to my grandkids. I want to build something. I never got into real estate just because I liked houses. I got into real estate because I thought it was a great business opportunity, a great way to build a business, be the center of that business, have a career that was more than just a job. I just wanted something that would be part of my life, and real estate was a really good fit for that. And that kind of attitude throughout EXP, it on a company level, it is there in spades. It's incredible to be around the kind of people who are doing the things that they're doing and the attitude that they do them with. They come with like a servant's heart. They are helping other agents. They are building things that are bigger than just themselves, and then they're sharing it with the world. And seeing EXP, the company, also include things like EXP Health. Like what other real estate company also has a sector just dedicated to helping improve the mental and physical health of their agents? I mean, it's an entire company. It's great. They partnered with Viome, to help people get like their gut health straight. So you can go get like a test on you can send them all your bodily fluids, and they'll test them and tell you what foods you should eat and what you shouldn't eat, help you with the supplement plan. So there are so many things beyond just real estate at EXP. And that's what I really love about it. So from that culture around excellence, building something beyond yourself, that keeps me energized. When I go to these events and I see people like Jay Kinder speak, or Glenn Sanford, the founder, it really motivates me to want more out of life than just chasing after closings day after day, but to really build something that lasts and that will kind of change the lives of everyone around me. Our final pro was company culture. Well, our final con is going to be local culture. One of the really hard things about EXP is that a lot of the agents who have come to EXP and thrive there are agents that kind of already work from home. They're doing their own thing. They're very independent. I mean, it's really easy to say to an agent who's paying 30 or 40% into a local brokerage who doesn't ever go into the office, hey, come to EXP, 80-20 split, 16K cap. You're going to save a bunch of money. Just come over here. You already work from home. You don't go in the office. And they go, oh, you're totally right. I'm going to come to EXP. But then they come in, and because it's so easy to not engage for those people, they don't. And then you bring over some people who say, oh, well, I really want to be around a lot of people. I want to be involved in a big culture, yada, yada. And then they come over. But the majority of other agents who have come over just work from home. So that culture doesn't exist. So that can be really hard. Now, it certainly does places. The agents who have really focused on building a local culture and have thrived in that have done an amazing job. So if you're building locally and you want to be plugged into a great local culture, it either has to exist or you're going to have to build it yourself. So the hard part, I have found that most agents don't want to be involved in building the culture. They just want to be plugged into something that's already pre-existing. So when you get an agent who doesn't really want to be part of the building of the culture, they just want to get plugged in, and you say to them, oh, hey, well, if that's what you're looking for, there's 100 EXP agents within 10 miles of here. Why don't you put together a mastermind group? Why don't you put together a monthly social? Why don't you do this? They don't want to be part of that. And most agents don't want to be part of the leadership group. If you've been at Keller Williams, how many agents are dying to get on the ALC? I know at mine, it was one of these things where, out of 150 agents, there were 5 or 6 that really wanted to do it. So, it's hard to find agents who want to be part of building culture. Now, if you're the leader in an area, you really have to focus on it. It's true. Like you can build a huge organization, and if it's locally based, if your organization is mostly agents who are in your area, then you're going to have to focus on building culture, getting people together, making them feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. And that is difficult. You're going to have to spend a lot of time on it, and you have to really have focused energy, because this company, it's very easy to not stay engaged. Because it's a cloud-based brokerage, no one's pulling you into the office every week for a meeting. They don't even really make you go to anything online. then it's really easy to just kind of do your own thing, and you can go out and you can invite the 100 agents in your organization to something, and only 10 show up, and you're like, where are the other 90? That is so easy to have happen at EXP, depending on who you bring into the organization. So if you are looking to plug into a local culture, you need to do your research. If that's not important to you, then really you just need to partner with the people who will provide you the best value going forward, if you even need that. So that is kind of one of the hard things. Building local culture is difficult. It takes a lot of energy, and it takes an actual structured plan, and you need agents to step up, because the brokerage isn't doing it for you. Like the state brokers will hold a local event near you, usually once or twice a year. Not a big deal, but that's not really going to grow local culture. Like it has to be something consistent, has to be weekly, live trainings, live social, in-person socials. We're trying to build something out right now through EXP World 2.0, where we're doing Friday morning coffees. So kind of where you have, I've built out a virtual world where people can come in with a Zoom-enabled avatar, and we can have, a virtual, morning coffee. So we're trying to provide a lot of different things for our local group to be able to kind of build that culture together. But it takes time, it takes energy, and it needs agents who are willing to participate. So that is a con at EXP. It's hard to get agents engaged, and the more you can, the better. But with the particular group who has come over so far, a lot of the agents aren't really willing to engage in the local culture. Okay, well, those are our pros and cons from my second year at EXP. I have to be honest, I really don't see a situation where I ever leave. I know that video may have tried to make it seem really balanced, but EXP is an incredible company. Between my stock reimbursement and my revenue share downline, I make over 100%. So I couldn't even leave to go to a 100% company where they just charge a transaction fee. So being involved in this, what we've been able to build locally, what we're building nationally, where the company is going internationally, and how it's expanding outside of just real estate, it's all incredible. I'm so happy to be part of it, that it really is an amazing place. But I know that a lot of people come to these videos to hear the negatives. So I try to put it all out there. I am an open book. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave those below. I'll reply to them as soon as possible. My phone number and email will be below as well. You can call, text, or email me anytime. Or if you want to have a longer conversation, just click on my Calendly link below and schedule an appointment with me. As I mentioned, I'm willing to have an open conversation with anybody about my experience at EXP and how it's compared to my two brokerages before this, and how I think it compares to kind of some of the other models that are out there right now. All right, again, my name is David Tortellini. Thank you so much for watching.